I recently, on 2 occasions, followed up on an undercover HSUS investigation, one time at an egg farm and just recently at the Murphy Brown Smithfield sow farm. And I was asked to just kind of talk about those 2 follow-up investigations of the HSUS investigation. So I have to start out by admitting something. Even though I'm in your industry, I report about your industry, I made some mistakes. You know, when an organization calls a news conference and tells you things and shows you things, you tend to believe that they're talking about the truth, and you know, so the reporter assumes that, and as with HSUS, it's the classical definition of assume. Even I, who you know, really knew better, I still assumed that when I saw these videos that they were an example of very lax management at these farms, at the best, and a bad apple producer at the worst. And after 30, 40, 45 times I started writing stories, about another egg farm got caught, another hog farm got caught, I sort of fell into the trap. So Cal Maine Foods, which is the largest egg producer in the United States, they have a farm in Walder, Texas. And HSUS did an undercover investigation and released their video right before Thanksgiving, showing just horrible conditions. And so I wrote a story, another egg farm got caught. Then I got a telephone call from UEP, which United Egg Producers, which a couple of years ago created their own investigative team to follow up on these investigations, because they needed to make sure that the egg farms were in compliance with their animal welfare program, and if they weren't in compliance, they would stop that egg farm's credentials. And I was sitting in my office one day, and I received a call from UEP asking me if I wanted to be on the Walder team as an investigator. And I thought to myself, well, UEP is really taking a chance, because first of all, I had just written this story about this. And, just imagine what they were thinking about opening up this egg farm to a reporter and just letting me run amok. I want to emphasize this a couple of times, maybe 3 times, but it was just, when I went to the egg farm, it was just complete transparency. I could ask any question I wanted. I could look at any document I wanted. I could go into any hen house. I could walk any row of cages. I could look at any hen. I could take any picture. I didn't have to ask permission. Nothing was off the record. The Walder Farm has 2 complexes. Each one of them are in-line. Most of you probably know what in-line means. I won't go into a lot of detail, but essentially it means that from the time the hen lays the egg until you take it out of the carton at home, it's never touched by a human hand. You're the first person to touch that egg. The UEP team was Gene Gregory, the CEO, Mitch Head, and myself, and we went to the second complex, which is where the HSUS investigator worked. Complex 2 has 18 hen houses, each with around 61,000 hens, or 1 million birds complex-wide. We started out, we did an interview with the farm management in the conference room at the farm. How did this video get taken? How did it show what it showed? I was really interested in how the HSUS investigator got hired. I just can't believe that these investigators, get hired again and again and again and again. And the management said, well, we didn't really check his references. We had this position that was open, and we needed to get it filled real quickly. He said he was just out of the Navy, so we figured he was a pretty good guy, so we didn't check his references. He did sign a document that, promising that he would, if he saw any animal abuse, he would report it, and if he saw any abusive conditions for the birds, that he would report it. He never reported anything, and instead he took this video. Well, after our interview, then we put on biosecurity guards and we went into the houses with the management along with us to continue answering questions and to point things out. Now, here's what HSUS said I would see. I would see dark and dirty houses. I would see hens crowded in the cages so tight that they could not perform any natural functions. I would see hens trapped by broken cage wires, unable to get the feed and water. Hens with bloody claws because they had to stand on wires their whole lives. And this is one of the favorite HSUS things when they want to show how horrible conditions are. I would see hens with prolapsed uteruses due to all these stressful conditions. Here's what I saw, okay? We went into 14 houses. We looked at hundreds of cages, thousands of hens, and I saw very bright, clean houses, high air quality. These houses all have housekeepers and sweepers who go along twice a day and sweep the floor, get the dust off the floor. I saw cages with enough space for hens to actually lie down, stand up, turn around, and spread their wings. Okay? Now, it's not a natural behavior for hens to spread both of their wings, but they do. Sometimes they pick up one wing. Yes, when they did this, they did touch each other. It's sort of like when we shake hands or whatever. I don't understand what's wrong about a hen touching another hen. They would touch the side of the cages sometimes. And they did not have room to fly. This is one of HSUS's big complaints, that the hens don't have enough room to fly, although hens don't fly. Okay? They do sometimes flap their wings real hard so they can jump up on a perch that's 5 feet off the ground, but they don't fly. They don't fly in nature either. I did not see any hens with bloody claws. In fact, the bird's claws or feet can bear them on the wires. You've probably been driving down the countryside and seen birds up on the telephone wires resting. I did not see any hens with a prolapsed uterus. I did have it explained to me that this does happen, about 2 hens per house per month, because they're very young and their uteruses were not fully developed when they were brought into production. This does happen, and it happens in a cage-free environment, and it happens in nature. Now, HSUS didn't point that out. And we sort of theorized the bloody claws. There was a hen did suffer a prolapsed uterus, and her cage mates stepped on the bloody uterus and had some blood on their claws. And I thought of this last night as I should point out here that what HSUS does, what I learned that they do from seeing this for myself, is that they found this hen, and then they took 10 pictures of the hen from all kinds of different angles, and then spliced all 10 pictures into the video, so it looked like this was a very common condition. Okay? Here we are having our meeting with the management. This is Gene Gregory here. I was right there, but I scooted back so I could take a photo. Here's the inside of a hen house. It's much brighter and much cleaner than it looked like on the HSUS video. I know you can't see it. I can't hardly see it from here, but there's one of the sweepers going down the row sweeping. And every time a housekeeper or sweeper walks by the cages, they check the birds as they go along to make sure that there isn't a bird trapped on broken wire or something like that. This shows you that the hens have plenty of room. In fact, these first 2 birds have turned halfway around, and this third bird here is turned all the way around and is starting to spread its wing. So they do have room for those natural behaviors. and absolutely no blood. I looked and looked and looked and looked to find a hen with blood on its claws, and I could not find one. Okay. So, I got all my questions answered. I took lots of photos. I wrote a series of stories on what I saw to set the record straight. We not only had these stories in Feedstuffs, but we had them in our Feedstuffs Food Link newsletter, which goes to about 10,000 teachers and food service managers and retail managers and policymakers and, as far as we can determine, just plain consumers, including some local newspapers, one of which I know picked up my series of stories, so it went pretty good. Okay, so then the next thing was, just before Christmas, which is the big ham season, HSUS released an undercover video that they took at the Murphy Brown Smithfield Farm in Waverly, Virginia. I did listen to the news conference, but now I know better, so I did not report a story. And shortly after the news conference, I received a call from Murphy Brown asking me if I wanted to bring my pen and come look at their operation, because they had seen what I did about the Walder complex. Again, the conditions were complete transparency. I could ask any question, look at any document, go into any building, walk down any row of stalls or pens, look at any animal, sow, piglet, weaner, finisher, take any photo. Nothing was off the record. And on this previous slide, I forgot to say one thing that's important. Smithfield announced in 2007 that it was beginning a conversion of all gestation stalls to gestation pens or group pens, and they said they would do this over a 10-year period. Then in 2008 and 2009, the pork industry lost millions of dollars because of the recession and the H1N1 flu that was misidentified as swine flu. And so they put the transition, it's a $300 million transition, they put it on hold, and HSUS got all upset because they put it on hold, and they wanted Smithfield, and they wanted Murphy Brown to resume the transition and to meet the original time schedule. And Murphy Brown said, well, we can't, we just aren't comfortable that we'll have this done now by 2017. So we can't commit to that, so Smithfield sent an undercover investigator in and released the video. Okay, go. Murphy Brown is a live production subsidiary of Smithfield Foods, has two divisions, the Waverly, Virginia division, 40 company-owned, 94 contract grower farms in southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. Altogether, 45,000 houses, 45,000 sows that are housed in this division, and they finish 1.1 million market hogs a year. Here's where I just told you about their transition, the group pen, so we can go on then. So I started out just like we did with the egg farm. I talked with management in the conference room at the Waverly headquarters. How did the video get taken, how did it show what it showed, and so on and so forth. I asked about the HSUS investigator, and now here I learned something. They did try to check his references. So when they called reference A, they got a voicemail that said, this is reference A, and leave a message and we'll get back to you, but nobody ever got back to them. So they hired the guy anyway. But the thing is that we're so litigious today that most companies don't really give out references anymore because a bad reference can get you into a lawsuit. And in fact, Murphy Brown itself does not give out references. So this is a very big issue. How do we check? How do we know when a person's applying for a job that he or she's not with HSUS. This guy not only signed a document that he would report animal abuse and abusive conditions, but the document also said that he was not an employee of an activist organization and he would not take any photos or video. It kind of shows you what signing a document means to HSUS people. Now, he did report via a company hotline an incident in which he saw two workers striking sows with a gate rod to get the sows to move. He did not offer any information about where that happened or who they were, and that was on a Friday night before his last day of work the following Monday. But the phone call triggered an in-depth investigation by Murphy Brown Management, including Temple Grandin and a team that she put together. It identified the workers who struck the sows, and they were both terminated along with their supervisor. So there was immediate action taken on that. After the interview, we went to the Waverly Farm where the HSUS investigator worked. Biosecurity, this was a shower-in, shower-out farm, so on your way in, you showered, and then on the other side of the shower, you put on company-provided clothing. We went into breeding barns, which had stalls. We went into gestation barns, which had stalls. Farrowing barns, which is sort of a stall that contained a sow and then a little open pen for the piglets. And then nursery barns and finishing barns. We went into several of each kind. And so I looked at hundreds of sows and hundreds of pigs, and management was along to answer questions and point things out. Here's what HSUS said I would see. Again, dark and dirty houses, workers striking sows with gate rods, ineffective euthanasia with sows that had the worker had tried to euthanize and didn't quite get the job done. I would see those live sows, those still live sows being thrown into the disposal units. I would see sows in absolute misery in stalls with no room to comfortably move. I would see sows desperately trying to free themselves from the stalls by banging against gates with their heads and snouts and gumming the gate bars with their mouths to the point where their gums burst open and they started bleeding. I would see all that. Here's what I saw. Very bright, clean barns. I was amazed at how clean the barns were. No workers abusing or striking sows. That did happen because the management team I found that out during their investigation. Those workers were terminated, as I said. I did not see any sows that required euthanasia. The chief veterinarian explained to me that the euthanasia problem in larger, older sows, they tend to develop a sinus cavity in front of their brain. And when the captive bolt is shot into the brain area, it goes through the sinus cavity first and kind of loses its effectiveness. So this does happen, and Murphy Brown is recommitting themselves to find more effective ways to euthanize sows. The National Pork Board is doing a lot of work on this. And then another problem with the ineffective euthanasia that was shown in the video was that the HSUS investigator, who was supposed to do something to help another worker make sure the euthanasia was done correctly, refused to help and took a video. He was wearing these glasses, these great big glasses, that he said he had to wear because they were prescription, even though Murphy Brown provides prescription glasses for people after they've showered in. He had to wear his own, and the hidden camera was in the glasses. So he just stood back and took a video rather than helping. And this was confirmed in the management investigation. I saw sows that could comfortably lie down and stand up. I did not see sows banging or gumming the gates trying to escape. I did not see sows with bloody gums. And here's the theory that we worked out as to why so many of these scenes were shown in the video. the nighttime theory. All these barns, and I'll show you a picture in a minute, all the barns at Murphy Brown have these curtain sides that allow in a great deal of sunlight. But many of the scenes in the video showed just absolutely darkness, not sunlight from the outside. And what we felt happened was the HS investigator snuck back into the farm at night, snuck into the barn that was in the video, and flipped on the barn's lights. And when he did that, the sows reacted very naturally. They got very excited because they thought it was 6:30 in the morning and they were going to get fed. And then they got very frustrated when they were not fed, and that frustration led them to start banging on the gates and providing some of the violent scenes that were shown in the video. And by the way, gumming bars is a very natural, almost playful behavior that sows have. And the veterinarian said when you see the blood on the bars, because they actually broke a tooth, that it's not because their gum broke open. Okay, so here we are in the management in the conference room talking with management. Here's inside a sow barn. As you can see, very bright and clean. And look, there's the curtains, and you can see all the sunlight coming through the curtains. But if you watch the HSUS video, it's just completely dark. Again, very clean, bright. It shows you all the sows, how they can, some of them are laying down, some of them are sitting up, some of them are standing up, and they can do that. I watched them; they can do it very comfortably. It's not a problem for them. Here's a sow that's gumming the bar, but and I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find one bar with blood on it, in all the bars I looked at. And then this is interesting. The HSUS investigator worked 4 weeks, which is generally as long as these investigators work at the farm. First 2 weeks he was responsible for being in the barn with live animals and taking care of them. And then he was pulled off of that assignment and put on a demolition crew to actually go into barns and start taking out the gestation barns and start taking out the gestation stalls and putting in what would be the new gestation pens. So the HSUS investigator knew that the company was aggressively moving forward with the transition, and still this video came out. So, just like before, I got all my questions answered. I took lots of photos, wrote a series of stories, setting the record straight. Again, we had these stories in Feedstuffs as well as our Food Link newsletter. So it got not only the attention of our readership, but a lot of people that we want to reach outside of agriculture. Okay, and this is, I was talking about this. The HSUS investigator, was actually involved in not only converting the gestation houses from stalls to pens, but Murphy Brown's going a step further. For breeding purposes and farrowing purposes, you need to have the sow in a stall for the sow's safety, for the piglet's safety in the farrowing situation, and for worker safety. But they're converting breeding and farrowing houses to larger stalls. All right, so they're not only converting to gestation houses, gestation pens, but to larger stalls. Smithfield's CEO announced at the annual meeting in September that the company had resumed the transition program. A Smithfield executive told HSUS the day before they released the video that the company had resumed the transition program. So HSUS knew that they were getting not only what they wanted, but more, the larger stalls, but still released the video. Okay? So, transparency works. And this sort of fits with what Hugh was saying. Because I learned a lot, and I tried to set the record straight. And you might say, well, Rod, you're part of the choir. I mean, but Rose Acre Egg Farm in Iowa, earlier last year, HSUS released an undercover video of this egg farm and showed how just very horrible conditions and so on and so forth. And Rose Acre was in the hallway, And when the reporters came out, they said, why don't you get in your car and come out and look at the farm? And so the reporters from the general media, from the consumer media, from the Des Moines Register, went out and looked at the Rose Acre Farm and came back, and some of them didn't even write stories. The stories that were written were very balanced, if not more in favor of Rose Acre than HSUS. So even though, I report about agriculture, the transparency still works for the general media. So telling our story, via website videos, streaming video, even some places webcams in the hen house or the sow farm, that's okay, that's important, that's good. But I think the real opportunity, what I learned from all this, is that the real opportunity is opening up our farms, our feedlots, and our grow-outs to the public and get people to come out and see what's really going on. Now, that doesn't mean you have a sign up 24/7 for anyone driving past the farm to come on the farm and look at things. But like Hugh was saying, there are public representatives who we can invite out and explain to them biosecurity and what they have to do, but tell them to come along and bring their cameras. And, reporters, chambers of commerce, city councils, teachers, church groups, mother groups. I think food bank groups could be very important. And these people can be agriculture champions, and that's what I think we need, is people who will be a champion for us, people who are not part of the scene, but can stand up and say, no, I saw what goes on.